There definitely are times in which you have to suppress the pain or suppress the feeling and push through a situation because that situation requires it. But the challenge is that's not the methodology that's necessary for every situation.
Welcome to Impact and Fulfillment with Coach Mike D, where you'll gain practical wisdom and dynamic insight from amazing conversations to live your best life.
What's going on, y'all? This is Coach Mike D with another episode of Impact and Fulfillment. I pray y'all are well and are doing the doggone thing today. As you think about doing the thing or taking action, I want you to think about this concept of forcing your will. It's interesting. There are a lot of different philosophies out there with regards to getting stuff done, right? And I look at all the different philosophies out there as various tools in your tool belt, right? So a lot of people like the David Goggins type philosophy, where it's like mind over matter. I don't feel the pain. I push through this and I am getting the mission accomplished by any means necessary. I'm going to force my will on this situation, right? And full transparency, there definitely are times in which you have to suppress the pain or suppress the feeling and push through a situation because that situation requires it. But the challenge is that's not the methodology that's necessary for every situation. Every situation does not require you to force your will on that situation and force that thing to happen. Okay? There are times in which you actually do need to take a step back and allow things to play out the way that they're supposed to, right? There are times in which you're really supposed to simply just have faith and get direction. And once you get the direction from an internal perspective, then you take the necessary action. But I just said all of this to say there are multiple ways to approach a situation, but there's not just one way and one way only, even if you personally are naturally wired to respond to situations in one particular way. If you take a look in the mirror or you reflect back on various situations in your life, and if you recognize that you typically approach situations or problems using one way of thinking, one methodology, or one type of action, then that's probably an indication that you need to start diversifying the set of tools that you have available, right? If you look at your life and you're one that typically meets most objection or most, interactions with others from a place of anger, you might need to take a step back and realize that, hold up, being able to use anger as fuel is a tool, right? But that should not be your only tool. If you approach situations from the standpoint of nervousness, right? Like you tend to get nervous and you respond with nervous energy to every stimulus or everything that comes your way, take a step back. Because again, there are situations in your life in which you should be nervous, and that should cause you to respond a certain way, right? Because there are things, you have that feeling, you have that little spidey sense inside of you, the Holy Spirit speaking to you for a specific reason at times, right? But if you're nervous about everything, take a step back. Something's not right there, right? You need to diversify the set of tools in your toolbox, right? You have to look at how you're approaching things and look at how your body responds to things and recognize whether or not some things need to change, right? On the flip side, if you approach everything and, if everything's happy-go-lucky and Pollyanna, right? Full transparency, every situation is not happy-go-lucky and Pollyanna. Now, you can always approach things from a spirit of, seeing the best and, glass half full mentality. That is great. But we also have to recognize that sometimes that type of perspective may not serve us well in certain environments. There may be times in which we have to be more stern and firm and, somewhat skeptical of a situation or a person or group that we may be interacting with. Again, these are all tools in our tool belt, and we need to have the diverse set of tools, but we also have to have proficiency in all of those tools. Okay. But the first example that I gave today, I mentioned David Goggins and the concept of forcing your will. And the thing that I want us to be mindful of is forcing your will on a situation, forcing your will to complete a task. That may be beneficial, but especially as we're dealing with other people and definitely other adults and even like your own kids, you really have to be mindful about forcing your will on someone else. Because the reality is, if a person doesn't willingly want to connect or does not willingly want to engage or does not willingly want to go along with the plan, you have to take a step back, think about and understand whether or not you forcing your will on this situation is going to make the situation better as it pertains to a relationship. Okay? Because ultimately, you want individuals to choose to be a part of whatever it is you're doing. You want people to choose to want to engage and have conversation. You want people to choose to want to show up. And it's not a situation in which you have to force your will for that to happen. Because truthfully, if you have to force your will as it pertains to a relationship with someone else or an interaction with someone else, more than likely the result is not going to be fruitful, because the moment that you stop forcing your will and they have a choice, are they still going to choose that particular interaction and or relationship? So let's be mindful of this, and let's be mindful of the tools that we have at our disposal, but let's also think through how we operate and recognize moments where we need to change, where we need to improve, and take constructive feedback so that we can improve and become better. And a way to get constructive feedback is to make sure that you always have people around you who are going to be honest, but also people around you who have your best interest at heart. Because if those people are around you, they're not going to let you get off track. They're not going to let you go down a path that's not conducive to you literally living a life of greatness, having the maximum impact and fulfillment that you're capable of. And ultimately, that's what this thing is all about. All right. Well, hey, I hope this was a good one. I hope this is something that you all can take to heart and put into practice. And if you have not already done so, lots of people have already grabbed copies and everything. Go to Amazon, and I'll have a link in the show notes, but go to Amazon and grab a copy of my new book, The 33 Laws of Impact and Fulfillment. Whether you're a reader, grab the paperback. If you like the e-reader stuff, the ebook is there. If you like audiobooks, the audiobook is there. Look, I got you. But there are 33 laws in this book that are going to help to change your life. And that's what this thing is all about, transformational change. And so literally, until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.
I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and follow Coach Mike D everywhere on social media. Y'all be blessed, well, and wise.